Hello all, welcome to Paraguide video tutorial. So in this tutorial we are going to learn how to perform Django development and deployment with Dockers. So as you are aware of, Docker is a container tool that will allow you to create isolated and reproducible application environment. So that will help you in many ways, like let's say you have a project with some sort of configuration and you use Docker to containerize it. So now what will happen is, like, now that Docker image will be helpful me to run that project in anywhere in the cloud or in another system. So it's more of a creating a reproducible application environment using Docker. So in this tutorial we are going to create a Django project with some configuration with Postgres and Redis, and we are going to do a little bit development and delivering this stack to cloud using Docker Compose and Docker Machine. So for this we have three major objectives. First one would be to set up a Python project and dependencies for Docker that will be requiring to build the Docker image. Second one, we'll be using Docker Compose and Docker Container for our this tutorial to create a Docker image. Our final and output would be to perform a development and deployment using Docker. So as you can see, Docker is more of setting up a configuration and creating a container for your project. So as you can see, I have created a Django project. I have named it as Docker-Django. So this is my project, so you don't need to see all of these things. Now in the right part you can see I have two folders. One is Nginx and one is web. So this web part is your Django project. Now I have some other file like .env file. So this file is my environmental variable. So in this file you will be keeping all of your secret files, your db name, db username, db password. So but all secret file configuration you have, I have put it here in the .env file. So you can later expose it to your environmental variable also for security purpose. So another thing I have is a docker compose YAML file. So this is my Docker configuration file. I will be explaining you later how to configure yours similarly. And this is my production YAML file. So this will be similar to my Docker compose, a little bit different, but this is for production. So this is my project web. So if we'll go to inside this web, you can see the project similar to manage.py, like in the Django we have. So this is my project, Django project, Docker Django. Inside it I have apps that will show you to dos. Similarly, this is a simple Django project, so this will not be a much of more of a Django project, because this tutorial is more focused on how to deploy your Django application using Docker. So I'll not be focusing here in this part of the Django. The configuration is very similar. I have created a simple page here in my template file, that would be home. So this will show some data here. I will not be bothering about what the data is. So this is my whole of Django project. So you can create a Django project with all of your data and configuration with it. Now this is one of my another Docker file for this project to build my Django project, and this is my requirement.txt. I will be using Django 1.8.1, G-Unicorn, Psychops 2 and Redis. So this is my web folder here. After this, this is my Nginx folder with Docker file for some configuration for Nginx. And another thing, I will be having a reverse proxy here for using Nginx. So I'll be explaining you these all parts later in this tutorial. So I have created some basic instruction sets to be playing around with Docker. So for that, if you want to start with, first you need Docker installed in your machine. So I hope you will be you have your Docker installed in your system. So to verify this, I'll be running some commands like docker -machine version. So this is my terminal. I have configured it a little bit, so it looks a little bit different. So I'll be typing, uh, my command is docker machine version. So docker hyphen machine version. So it will show me the docker machine version here. So this verifies like docker machine is working in my system. So now I'll be using Docker Compose, and Docker Compose help me in the orchestration of multi-container application into a single app. So I'll be typing Docker Compose version to check the version of Docker Compose. So now it is telling me the version of the Docker Compose were running in my system. So you can verify it with this commands. So these are basic commands to verify whether you have completely installed Docker in your system or not, because you will be requiring this in the later stage to work with. Now our next task is to create a local VirtualBox environment for our Docker machine. So for that we will be using this command, docker-machine create-d VirtualBox dev. So this will be creating a new machine called dev. So now as you can see, dev is already is in my system. So I'll be creating dev2, for that would be a new virtual machine. So now it's creating a new machine for my this deployment. So in this way you can create a new machine for all of your deployments, and you can name it whatever you want. I have named it dev2 here. So it will take a little while to run this. Meanwhile, I can go with some of the Docker Compose YAML. So this is my Docker Compose YAML file. So this is the main configuration file. Here I have mm, created 4 services: one for web, one for Nginx, one for Postgres, and one for Redis. So I'll be explaining you slowly, because this will take a little more time. So it will take a lot more time to consume all of this, because this is a more of a configuration task. So as you can see, this is still working. So I will be explaining you this particularly web part, what I am doing here in this web service creation. So now as you can see in this part, I have few tags that is I'm using in creating all the services, like particularly the restart part. It's restart as always. So I want to restart my service always, like as soon as the system goes down or anything goes down, so this will restart. Okay, so this is used everywhere in all of my 4 services. Another thing is like build. So this build will tell me what part I will be building in this Docker Compose and Docker machine. So I have pointing it to the web part and the Nginx part. So this will take care of from where to where I have to build this particular service is from. So now as you can see in the web part for this Django, I will be exposing 8,000 port, 8,000 port for my deployment, and I will be using 2 links, one for Postgres and one for Redis for this. Now I will be explaining this volume part later. Now I will be using this environment underscore file .env file that I have showed you here, that will be holding all of my environmental variable or my secrets. So this Docker Compose will take for this web service this env file, and I will be using a particular environment, and by supplying this debug mode as true for this development purpose, and a command that will be running my Django application in the 8,000 port. So this all will create a service for my web part in this Docker container. So now let's go to this part. So now as you can see, my uh, first VirtualBox dev2 is created. Now let's go to the instruction part, and Now as you can see, my virtual box is created with dev2. Now I'll be exposing my variables to my env. So I'll be running this command, docker machine env dev. Oh, I have to pass dev2. So now as you can see, this particular part here, it has exposed some of the variables to my env for the docker particular containering part. Now to see this, to configure this to my shell, it's saying I have to run a command eval docker machine env dev2. So I'll be running this command, and now my shell is configured with all of these exports. So these all exports will be requiring for this docker containerization. Now we can move to the next line, that we have already run this to configure our shell. So now we can check our currently running docker machine with docker machine ls. So with this command, as you can see, I have three docker machines running on my system. One is dev, dev1 and dev2. These, the dev and dev1, I have already tested. So these I have earlier I have started. Dev is like stopped, but dev1 is running and dev2 is also running. So these two are of my docker machines that are being currently running in my system. So docker machine ls will give you a brief idea what all docker machines you have running in your system. It will also tell you the state, the url, the docker status or errors. So these are some of the data that is being shown with the docker machine ls command. So this is a very helpful command to know whether what docker machine that is being running on your system or not. So now uh, we left our configuration part with web. Now the second part would be the nginx part. So this nginx part will be used to reverse proxy to forward requests either to your Django project or to your static file directory. So in case if you have a lot of traffic in your application, so you can forward your application either to your project or to a static content where it can show okay the website is busy or something else. So we will be using nginx to bifurcate all of your audience requests, and if in case if you have a lot of requests coming up, so you can forward it to a static website. Now in the third part, this is the third part, and the fourth part is nothing more but more of configuration with your Postgres and your Redis. So I'll be assigning ports here similarly to my Redis also and my to Postgres also. So this is just for demonstration purpose. You can use any number of application modules like Redis, Postgres or MySQL, or even if with NoSQL database you can configure it here. So this Docker Compose will tell us key how we are what port we are using for our deployment purpose, from which directory we have to use our deployment thing, and what all sort of commands we will be requiring to as soon as your container is built. So this command will help to make the application up and running. So now let's move to our instruction part, because as we have learned how we have composed our docker, now your docker is built, machine is built. Now we'll be using docker compose build to get the container running and to build the image and start the services. So now I will be running docker compose build. So this will take some of the time in the first time. Let's say, as you can see, this Redis image is being used and Postgres uses an image, and this is skipping. So this will take some sort of time, because this part requires a lot of downloading. As you can see the data here, the sort of downloading it needs. So this will be whole of building an image for of your docker application. So this will take some time. After this, as you will build this image, you will be running up your docker compose with docker compose up-d command. So once this will be done, your Docker image will be building with image and starting all the services. So after that, once your our services will be start, we will be doing the database migration. So these database migration will be required for our Django project. So we'll be migrating all of our data to our Docker Compose. After that, we will be associated the IP associated with Docker machine. This command Docker machine IP dev will give us the IP associated with our Docker machine, and we can go to that particular IP and check. After that, if you can see what all four services the four services we have created, one for your web part, one for Nginx, one for Postgres, and one for Redis, is running or not. So this command Docker compose ps will give us the status of those. After this, to see which environmental variable you have available for your web service, for that you can run docker compose run web env. So this will tell us all the environmental variable. As you can see in this file, I have exposed my env file, so it will take all of the environmental variable. Now after this, if you want to see all of your logs for your application, you can type docker compose logs to check all the logs for your application. As you can see, the download is in the way, so it is downloading all of the content that will be requiring to build the application. So it will take some time, as this process is like a lot more time consuming. So I will be stopping it here. So now I have other commands to run also. So after this, I will be checking docker compose upd command. So this will also take a little bit time, because after downloading it, it will be building, or it will be creating images for the same. So this is you can try. I will be aborting this build line. After this, I will be migrating all of my Python migration that will be required. So this will migrate all of my data from my Redis, and it will be migrated to my application. So I think the application image building is in process, so I cannot complete it. After this, to grab the IP of your system that your Docker is running, so right now it's not IP because host is not running. So I think if I will change to dev2, it will show me the IP. So this is the new IP that is being, my Docker image is being running with my Django application. After this, if I want to see the status of all of my services, so I will be typing docker compose ps, because no services is working because I have aborted this docker compose part. So this will not be working, and docker compose logs will give me the logs for my docker. So this is how you will be using docker for your um, Python or Django development and deployment. So in this way, you can create a Docker container for your application, and you can use these Docker images to deploy to your cloud environment. So now, what can be done next? So with the help of your Docker, you can deploy your Django app on your cloud with Docker Compose. Now it will be much easier to deploy this, because it has containerized all of your application. Second thing you can do is, like, you can use Kubernetes to scale your development. So let's say you have n number of pods running in your cloud. With the help of Kubernetes, you can scale your deployment, and by supplying each service to each different pod, so that in case if you have a lot of traffic coming up, so Kubernetes will handle this. And so you can use Kubernetes to scale your development. After that, you can combine it with Jenkins or Ansible to automate all of your this pulling out of your all of your code from Git, and then creating Docker images and then passing it to Jenkins or Ansible. So it will automate all of your deployment process. So if you have any questions regarding this video, you can comment below in the comment section, and you can subscribe our channel for more videos on Python. So that's all for tutorial. Thank you.